Let's make some noise. You're kicking it with VERVE Radio.
Welcome to VERVE Radio, Louise. It's lovely to have you here. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, my pleasure, my pleasure. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what your background is and how you got into film producing?
Yeah, sure. Well, I actually came from an acting background, and for a while acting was sort of my only desire and passion, but I found producing to be a way to facilitate my acting career, and to it gave me a freedom for me to choose the roles that I wanted to play, and gave me a bit more control to push the projects that I was passionate about forward. So I got into the film industry through acting, but producing has sort of helped the two of them and pushed it forward. I met a producer at a film festival when I was, I think, 19, and I started working as a junior producer at an Emmy-nominated production company, and I sort of worked on their documentaries, short films, and we had a feature film developing all the way through called The Habit of Beauty. And last year we shot the film, and I was assistant producer on that. And it was really interesting to see the film from sort of script, or even an idea really, and having like a couple of drafts of the script, and then taking that forward and seeing the progressions of the film all the way through pre-production and then production, and now we just had the film premiere at Raindance Film Festival, and it was nominated for Best Debut Feature, and it was directed by Mirko Pincelli, so it was very, I was very happy with the end result.
That's amazing. I mean, it sounds like it's gone so fast-paced since last year.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's a steady progression of projects that I've been working on, and you seem to work on projects for quite a long time. They don't sort of rotate very quickly, but that's why it's important to choose wisely the projects that you want to take on, because you're going to be investing a lot of time into them. And after the feature film, I started my own project and sort of put into practice all of the contacts that I've been building up, and the information that I'd learned, and all of the things that I'd observed through other people and other professionals. And so I produced the short film How to Be Human, which we hope to take into a feature or a TV series, but at the moment we're all focusing on the short film to make it as best as it possibly can be. And thankfully, with my co-producer Jeffrey Michael, the director Bruno Centofanti, and the writer Darren Rapier, we had a really great core team in place right at the very beginning to help get the project to where it is now. And actually, it's funny enough, the co-producer today just saw in the BFI brochure our photo. The film stars BAFTA winner Sophie Kennedy Clark, and you see her photo on the BFI Future Film Festival in the heading of that, so it's representing, so our film is representing that section, which is amazing, and something I would never have imagined when we just were putting the script together. But
it's a massive bonus.
Yeah, it's great to have the support of the BFI, and even the BFI have been so supportive. They have invited me on a panel in December to talk about sci-fi and film itself. So no, it's good. Once you're in the industry, there are people there to support you and push you on and make you feel that you're on the right path. And thankfully to the team involved in the film, I'm surrounded by a good group of people, and I think that's really key when you're pushing projects forward.
Definitely. The film How to Be Human. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was about?
Well, the film came about because, it started actually with a conversation in my family. There was a pregnant refugee on the TV screen, and someone in my family said, and I hope they don't hate me for saying this, but they said, well, where do they think they're going? They can't think that they're coming here. And my reaction to that was, well, why not? I know that they're a refugee, but doesn't mean that they're not a human being. It could be any of us that are in that situation. And that really played on my mind, and that made me think that this is probably a conversation that's being had in a lot of family, homes. It's not probably just ours. So I thought, okay, let's make a film about this. Let's try and show the other perspective, that it could be any of us and nobody chooses to be a refugee. So with the story, we made it a sci-fi, because sci-fi is a really great genre for showing humanitarian films, because it's very flexible and liberating as a genre, and a great way for getting humanitarian messages across without being too sensitive on the topic. So we see our android sister teaching her sister, who's human, how to lose her humanity as they journey from London to Dover and then onwards. So it's the reverse of going from Syria to Greece and then onwards and then going to Calais. So we wanted to really flip the situation, flip the situation and flip the circumstance, so people can see a little bit as to what it would be like to be a refugee in that situation. But again, we've taken the sting of the current conflict away from it by setting it in the future. So thanks to that, we're partnered with Sci-Fi London, who again, just like the BFI, have been so supportive, and we'll be having our premiere in April at the festival. So looking forward to that.
Sounds pretty exciting, and I think it is hugely important as well to kind of, like you said, that you flipped it and you've said at the end of the day they're human too. And yeah, I just think it's something that's lost on people, because they only hear the war and the terror side of where they're coming from, and then they forget about the important facts. So.
Yeah, and sometimes it just takes a short film or a conversation or a message for people to see the other side and just consider what it would really be like to be in those shoes. Because I don't imagine it would be. I don't think people often give the time of day to think, especially with the headlines of, you have Daily Mail and those kinds of papers who give these really aggressive, offensive headlines that make people think a certain thing, when actually the truth is quite the opposite. And we were lucky, because of the message of our film, we attracted the attention of a charity called Calais Action, and they are and were providing direct aid to the refugees in Calais. And we went out there with them and volunteered for the day. And I can tell you, it was such a different experience to what I would, if I was going by the headlines and going by the newspapers and the media, I would have thought that the place was, hostile is not even the right word. They make it seem like, nobody could possibly live there, and the people there are really bad intentioned and things like that. But actually, it was completely the opposite. They were so warm and generous and giving, and everywhere we went, there was people were friendly and welcoming, and it's more than what I can say for the media right now on the situation.
Yeah, it's a sad thing is that they do rely so much on fear to sell their papers or to get their papers up there, get people talking or engaging them on social media. Even though it's going to be negative on them, they don't mind. It's just like, we're getting people talking to us or sending us messages and things, and that's what they want. So,
yeah, sadly so. So I hope that, this isn't supposed to be a heavily political film, but it's supposed to be how the director Bruno Centofanti would like it to be, inspiring and positive.
At the heart. Yeah.
Exactly, and actually that's why he's perfect for this film, because Bruno is a director that really just goes to the heart of every story. He comes from a journalistic background. He actually used to work for the Sunday Times, so he knows how to go, cut straight to the story and straight to the human side of every story. So for me, there wasn't a better director for this.
Yeah, so it was pretty spot on for it.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's a short film?
Yes.
How important are short films in the industry? Why should people be focusing on short films? Why should people be going to see these short films at cinemas? And
I think short films are an amazing tool because they're shareable. Keeping it short means that it can be easily shared among film festivals and eventually online. And what better way to reach a worldwide audience than online? That's where a lot of people, are nowadays. So I think short films are a great way of just getting the film seen. Not everybody makes time to go to the cinema and see feature-length films, but there's no excuse not to see a 10-minute film or a 15-minute film. I think everybody has time for that. So I think it's a good experience. By making short films, you're test driving your skills. You'll be able to identify where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and will prepare you for taking more steps later down the line for a feature or wherever you decide to go. I think it's a really great starting point for raising your profile as a filmmaker. And to be honest, it's exactly what I'm doing. And aside from the fact that I'm really passionate about telling this message, it's great that the team involved can have their profile lifted and have their awareness brought to them, so that can lead on to more projects for them, and people can see what kind of projects they're interested in. And it's a great display of what you can do. It's a great opportunity to make something special, and it doesn't have to be a high budget. It doesn't have to be a £50,000 film or even a £10,000 film. You can make a short film with your iPhone. There are some successful films out there that do that. So
there's a film festival for phone films now, sure. That
doesn't surprise me. There was a film Tangerine that was a feature film shot on the iPhone, and that for me was a great reassurance that you don't have to have a lot of money to make a good film and tell a strong story. Mm-hmm. You just need to have a strong story and a willing, passionate, enthusiastic team helping you to make it happen. And that's exactly what's happened here. It's definitely not a one-woman show with How to Be Human. It is a team project and been such a great collaborative feel the whole way through. And everybody has brought something so special and more than what their role would really require. They've gone above and beyond. We have Debbie Wiseman on board. She's probably one of the most influential classical composers of our time. She's composed even for the Queen, for the Queen's Jubilee, and BBC's Dickensian. She's a incredibly senior composer, and she's willing to help us to make this film that extra bit special with her talent involved. And Mark Hutchins is our VFX supervisor. He's worked on Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, X-Men, Guardians of the Galaxy. He doesn't have to do that. He's not in a place where he needs to help us. But I think if you show that you're passionate and you're determined and you're committed to making a project and getting your project made and making it successful, then I think that people understand that, and it radiates from you, and people want to be part of something that they think is going to do something good. And I hope that will be the case here.
What do you think it is that makes these projects that you've been involved in so successful, or as successful as they have been so far?
I think it goes back to the story and the team involved in making it happen. I think there are, of course, other factors that will add to the success of a project. Getting named cast, for instance, that will definitely help. I was fortunate enough to, alongside my co-producer, to get Sophie Kennedy-Clarke, who won a BAFTA for Philomena, alongside Judi Dench. To have Sophie attached to our film really, really helps. And again, it's if we didn't have a strong story or a great crew, perhaps we wouldn't have got Sophie. So it's all about getting the right ingredients in the pot to make an amazing meal of a film. Pardon the expression. But yeah, so I think having Sophie on board helped then get Frances Ruffelle on board, who won a Tony she was the original Eponine in Les Miserables. Amazing woman. And then we had Brian Bovell, he's been in Love Actually and quite a few bits here and there, including Hollyoaks. Michael Winder, he was just at Palm Springs International Film Festival with Set the Thames on Fire. That was a feature film that he was the lead in. So, I really had to consider every element of the film to make it as great as possible, so that we had the pitch there that people want to see it, because ultimately you have to think, what makes somebody see this film over that? And if you put all the ingredients in to make yours more attractive, then I think it helps.
Okay. Career highlights. What we thinking?
Career highlights. I'm just beginning, so.
Just beginning.
Career highlights. Well, it was nice to be recognised at the Rob Knox Film Festival for being a young person who raised the profile of young people. That was a nice sort of recognition and again a reassurance that from the industry that you're on the right path. The Rob Knox Film Festival is great, by the way, for anyone who wants to get their foot in the door. For me, it worked for me because it was a hub for professionals that I could network with and socialise with, and it led to long-lasting relationships that I still keep in touch with now. So I think that was a nice recognition and a moment. I mean, there are a lot, because having as an actress, when I had my film, actually yesterday was the day of things happening, it seemed. It was announced that Butterfly, which is a short film that I was the lead actress in, that was just selected for London Short Film Festival. That for me was quite an achievement. It was just the first film that I've had in a festival like that. It's BAFTA qualifying, so
congratulations.
Thanks. That was nice. That was a nice moment. Career highlights, I think, every time that the film moves forward in some way, whether it's even coming on here and speaking with yourself, talking about the film and living the lifestyle that this, making this film sort of gives to me. I think this is all a career highlight for me. If this changes, I'll be very upset. I hope that it continues to be like
highlight.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah, I think it's all a career highlight every time that the film is somehow pushed forward.
Okay, so it's sort of Halloween time. Well, near enough.
Yeah.
Couple of days away. What is your go-to Halloween movie?
Well, my go-to Halloween movie. To be honest, you associate horror films, right, with Halloween, I guess.
Yeah, I think most people would.
Most people would. I'm actually not a horror film fan. Just because I get really easily scared. Like, I don't mind thrillers. Like, I love thrillers, such as The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I would actually class that as a thriller. That was borderline scary for me when they're in the dungeon. But I think that... I guess Donnie Darko is a good one.
Yeah. Interesting that I happen to be wearing that on the my t-shirt today, so not by chance though, is it?
Honestly, I did not see that when I said that.
Yeah, we had a chat before the little show started, and I said about some of the questions, and this came up, and we just found it very interesting that happened to be the answer.
What a coincidence, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and you say it was subliminal messaging.
Yeah.
But I said, Donnie Darko, you showed me your shirt. That was coincidental. But I think Halloween, that's the time where I'll let the other filmmakers sit back, or I'll sit back and let the other filmmakers who are really passionate about horror sort of do their thing, and then, I'll give them their time. Well, I'll be developing my not so horror films. So yeah, I guess Donnie Darko's it was an interesting sort of mind twist of a film. So I'll go with that one to answer it, but I prefer to probably dress up at Halloween, or do something creative like carving pumpkins. That's what I'll be doing, as opposed to watching horrors when everyone else is sitting there with their popcorn and getting the thrill. I'll be there with my pumpkin, carving it out.
It's rock and roll.
Rock and roll indeed. That's the lifestyle.
If there was a film about your life, who would play you, and what would be that big moment in the film so far?
Okay, that's a tough one. Who would play me? Okay, well...
Who would you like to play you?
Who would I like? That's even worse. Cause I think it would be fun to see anyone try and play me. That would be fun. I mean, Alec Baldwin played Trump, so anything's possible.
I think it's easy to call out the comparison. Was it Rosamund Pike?
Oh, I get her. Yeah, I do get that. I look like Rosamund Pike. The other person, is people say Jennifer Lawrence. We have apparently similar personalities, but who knows? I think Rosamund would be cool, but I think Jennifer Lawrence, she's fun, she's sassy, she's cool, she's clumsy. That's probably what we have most in common, the clumsiness.
The clumsiness.
Yeah.
So you feel a better reflection on your
Yeah, I
personality?
mean, there's probably other things that would be better to be reflected, but I think, yeah, let's go for Jennifer Lawrence. That'd be fun. So if we have Jennifer Lawrence play me, wow, that would be so funny. What moment? Let me think. I mean, just as a Jennifer Lawrence moment, I was once in a, actually, 2 Michelin star restaurant in London. I was invited. That is not my everyday, every weekend place to go, but it would be nice. But yeah, I had a really awkward moment. We were sitting around. Actually, there was some investors at the table, and you know, not everybody goes to a 2 Michelin star restaurant every week. I don't. So it came on the plate. After we'd finished our dinner, a marshmallow-looking. Piece of food is what it looked like. So they came along the way to put hot water on it, and then it sort of became more and more fluffy, and I was like, oh great, ready to eat. I picked it up, put it in my mouth, and turns out it was a napkin that you have to unfold. So it was, and I was so sort of blown away by it. I wasn't looking at anyone else on the table to see what they were doing. I picked it up, and with chopsticks, may I add, and everyone else was unravelling it and cleaning their hands. So I have really odd moments like that happen to me in my life because I'm from South London, Zone 6. You know, this is not my area, you know, so I do sometimes slip up and show where I was born.
Yeah, definitely don't want to be eating napkins, I don't think.
No.
Okay, so last question for you. If you had some advice to offer any aspiring filmmakers, what would it be?
My advice for aspiring filmmakers, well, I can only give the advice that other people have passed on to me or what I've learned, and I think the best advice is just do it. Just make something, learn as you do it. I mean, learn from experience and learn from making it yourself, because you can read as many books as you like, you can sort of study films as much as you like, but to actually do it is a different thing, and it will throw up different scenarios that you wouldn't have necessarily expected. So the more that you do and the more that you actually make happen, I think the more that you'll learn. And that happened. That was my case. So I learned from doing on the job, and then I was able to analyse what I could have done better. You know, mistakes are thrown up, which are natural, but you learn from them, and the more you do, the better you get. So I would say, go out there and just make it. Just grab a camera,
get hands
on, find a strong story, and make it happen.
So where can we find out more information about your film and any work you're going to be doing coming up?
Well, you can find How to Be Human on Facebook. You should type in How to Be Human film, and that should come up as I think it's the only film there. Alternatively, howtobehumanfilm.com. That will lead to all of our social media platforms, and you'll see all of the information. We keep the Facebook page updated quite regularly, so any news of upcoming Q&As at the BFI or the screening in April, it'll all be announced on there.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you for coming down to the station today and speaking with us.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good day.
It's been a pleasure.